All right, here we go, guys. So I had Scott here asked about how do you roll an Iron Condor, Strangle, stuff like that in toss. So I went ahead and put on a couple of trades in the demo platform here, and I figured I'd just walk you through how to do a roll. Now it's super easy, even in toss on a Strangle, naked call, naked put, right? Because that's can all be done in one trade. But Netflix, now this one's an Iron Condor. That's going to have to be done in two parts, and that's just because you're only allowed to do 4 legs at a time. And if you're to roll an Iron Condor, you already know that it's a vertical spread on each side. So you got to roll a vertical into a vertical, and then go and do the other vertical into a vertical. So it's 2 part on a Iron Condor, and 1 part for everything else. So we'll start here. I got Capital One. I purposely put it on here in November, since Friday is going to be 21 days. That's usually when you would roll your naked positions out. So, okay. Easiest thing you could do is just literally like right click on it. And then you can actually just hit create rolling order. But this messes things up. I don't like that. So I don't do it that way. I usually just go create closing order on the first one. And as you can see, it's going to put in those buy orders on the 79 strike I have here and the 70 strike I have here. So let me rewind, right? If you go to your trade tab, you'll see your open position. So if it's naked, you'll see the red position mark. So you can go ahead and just click on, for me, it's easier to click rather than trying to go right click, buy this, do that. To me, it's easier to just go ahead and click on the buy. That's going to give us a buy to close, and then hold down control and do the same thing over here. So hit buy. So there's your debit, right? So now you're ultimately closing this trade. Then go ahead and drop down, okay, and head on out to wherever you're rolling it. In this case, I'll just go ahead and roll to the December monthly. So you open that one up, and then you go ahead and figure out your strike. So we'll just start with where we'd go. So just go ahead and hold down control and hit the sell this time on this on whatever strike you're doing, okay? And then come over here to the other side, hold down control, and then just do the other one, right? So we'll do a 16 delta and hit sell there. Now, as you can see, I don't know if this is actually right. I don't think it's rolling for a credit. Hold on a second. All right, so I had to do a quick little look at it. So these 7970s, as you can see here, is showing a debit that is not able to roll for a credit. So have to wait. So you will go ahead and fix these strikes. I already know by looking at Tasty, it's going to be a 65.85 is the first credit. So I'm going to go ahead and change this 60 to a 65. Let me, you know what? Yeah, and then what was it? The 90 to an 85. There you go. Now you see how it just changed from that negative debit to a credit here. Now you're getting a credit by closing your November trade and opening one in December. Okay, so you always want to roll for a credit. So in this case, this is like a 2-cent credit if we were to do a roll like this, and that pretty much like pays for commissions, gives you a scratch roll. So then you just go ahead and just confirm and send it off, and if whenever it will ever fit, there it goes. Right now, my positions are here in December, gone from November. And if you follow it here, okay, you can see that we closed November and now we have December open. And if you wanted to keep track of it, you can look Strangle for $3.93 in credit, and then I rolled for another 3 cents. That's ultimately what you want to do, is you want to make sure you're rolling for a credit. Okay. Now doing a Iron Condor, it's a little bit different. I'm gonna pause this video and I'm gonna. All right, so now if you had an Iron Condor on, right, we kind of talk about this every now and then. It's a 2-part process because you got 4 legs already open and you can only roll 4 at a time, which means you got to roll the 2 and then into the new 2. So what you would do here is, easiest again for me is head over to the trade tab, open up your current options chain that you're in, and then here you can see your positions, right? So you just do the same thing that we talked about in the Strangle, except you're going to add 2 additional legs. So the position tab, this means short, this means long. So you would just come over here and be like, okay, well, I'm going to buy this one back, and I'm going to sell this one back, right? So you can see it's a debit now. Then, same process. You head on over to December, figure out the strikes you like, and in this case, I'm just going to do the same strikes, 520, 530, or 520, 525. So you'll hold down control, you'll hit sell, like you're doing a whole new vertical, and hit the buy. So as you can see, this gives you a 40-cent credit. So then you would go ahead, send that off. It'll do its roll, right? Now, actually, I'm going to rewind. Don't send it off until you check the other side to make sure the total credit is there, right? So in this case, I already know it is, but I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So you got the first side, you know it's a 40-cent net credit. Then you head back over to the other side and you do the same process. Buy back this one, and then head on over into December, and then 50s. You're gonna do it all over again. So 5s, buy those 50s. This one shows a 45-cent credit. So then now you know both legs give you a credit. You can send them off to go ahead and get filled. More than often, okay, one side just filled. More often than not, that was the word I was looking for. One side will show you a debit and the other side will show you a credit. Let me see. I don't think I can get that with this trade here. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see which one's going to give me. There we go. So if I were to do, say, we want to go ahead and roll this one. Okay, so again, right, you buy it back and you sell it back, and then you come over to December, and now as an example of what a typical roll with an Iron Condor is, the 430, 425s. So when you do this, you can see that it's a 15-cent debit. Now what you do when you have this, well, because you already tested it, kind of like how I did over here in Tasty, just to double check. I tested it, debit, and then I did the other one, and it was a credit. So you take the 40-cent credit, and you minus the 15-cent debit, and you're left with what? 25 cents? So you have a 25-cent net credit. That's how you would roll it. So then you're good to go. Okay, you know what? I'm all right paying for a debit over here. We'll just send that off. And then now you have that net credit. So you either want to make sure both legs or both sides, the calls and puts, are going to give you credits, or if only one side is giving you a credit, you want to make sure that the other side's debit is lower than the credit you got on the other side. Okay, and then that's how you get your net credit, because you just subtract the debit from the higher credit amount, and now you know, in this case it's 15 cents, right? So if this fills at a 15-cent debit and this one was a 40-cent credit, then I just rolled it for 25 more cents. You add that on top of your original Iron Condor, and you're good to go. All right, anybody for that matter got any questions other than, you know? Awesome. All right, Scott, you're good to go. Anyone else while I'm talking about the rolling here in Thinkorswim before we head on over into earnings? Just send this. I'm surprised it hasn't filled yet. This. No, everybody's good. Yep, you can roll. You know, if I wanted to, you can. It's all one ultimate trade, right? The ones that you have problems with are futures, where the futures contracts are in a different contract. That's the ones that aren't really allowed. You can sometimes roll a single leg for a credit depending on the product, but on equities and index, you're good to go. You can roll into any one. Like I could have rolled into a leap and did it like February's expiration. So, okay. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. If you do got any questions, just leave them in the comments below.